Hi, I'm Dr. Paul Haefner. Welcome to Sport Psych in a Minute, your weekly resource for insights and tips into the psychological side of equestrian sport. Today I'd like to talk about courage. I've been working with riders for over 20 years now, and I've been around horses for well over twice that amount of time. And one of the things that's been really clear to me is that there is this ethos or culture in American equestrian community which glorifies what we call courage or grit. When people are faced with emotional challenges, a lot of times we hear advice like, push through your fear or fake it till you make it. Certainly we hear expressions like cowboy up or cowgirl up. Now, those kinds of suggestions, one of the reasons they're seductive is that there is an element of truth. They do capture that energy for pushing forward. But there's a downside, and the downside is that often those strategies lead to more problems than they solve. In those phrases, there is an implication that vulnerability, fear, worry, self-consciousness, lack of confidence, that those things are negative things. And in the strategies, they ignore them and push them aside rather than acknowledging them and incorporating that understanding into the pathway forward. It's easiest to think about this in terms of some sort of a physical vulnerability. So imagine that your horse comes up lame right before a competition. And you and I both know that there are many ways that we can reduce the amount of pain that a horse feels. So what if we just give them bute or some other pain reliever for that time? They come sound, and then we go ahead and we compete them, or we do whatever it is that we were planning to do and push through despite the fact that we know that there is this underlying vulnerability. When we do that, maybe everything goes fine, or maybe in not paying attention to the underlying physical vulnerability that we end up causing much greater damage than we initially had at the beginning. The same is true for us in that sense, that there are times if we don't pay attention to the nature of our own vulnerabilities and we push through without acknowledging and understanding them, that we can put ourselves into a position where we can have much greater setback than any potential gain that we might get from those. So my thought today is that first, that vulnerability is the flip side of courage in the sense that there is no courage without vulnerability. And my second thought is it makes a lot of sense for us to understand, honor, and respect the vulnerabilities that we feel. Not to allow them to keep us prisoners, but focusing and understanding them enough then to select our pathway forward to work to heal those vulnerabilities in the process of making progress in our riding. This has been Sport Psych in a Minute. I'm Dr. Paul Haefner. I look forward to seeing you next week.